talking all things Rodeo Houston. Super Series 3 gets kicked off tonight.
Yeah, and Tim's in Super Series number 3. We'll get to that in a minute. Tim, let's talk a little bit about something that fans may or may not know, which is in the riding events, the judging system in Houston is a little bit different because of what the judges are looking at. I'm going to set you up and let you take it from there. We're going to take a look at a couple of bareback riders, beginning with Lane McGehee, but talk about what they do in Houston.
Okay, so Rodeo Houston has a 4-judge system. Unlike the national finals where all 4 judges get their 50 points and they combine the 2 sides together and then basically divide it down, you have one judge that judges the horse strictly and the other judge that judges the ride strictly. They get 1 to 25 apiece instead of 1 to 50. When their scores come together, that's how they get their total score. As you can see with Lane McGehee here, you got a horse that was really good from the get-go. She rolls around the post and she gets going right away. This is wider, boom, there's the kick right away. This is a 21-point horse, more than likely, in my opinion. She stays close, the kick is there. So you got one judge gonna mark him at 21. Lane is making a phenomenal ride. He is exposed, he is fast, he is setting his feet deliberately. He probably made a 23-point ride there. Where you take a 21, 23, there you get your 88-point ride, which won the go-around. Where in most instances, a judge is gonna mark the ride with the horse. This is keeping guys separated off strictly watching the horse, strictly watching the ride. So it makes it so important that these pins are even with the caliber of horses. Because if you have a horse that is, let's call it like an eliminator, that's a 23-point horse. She's super hard to ride. She's got the cowboy is not going to make that perfect ride like Lane made right there. It's hard to do. Even matching them, it's hard to do. But if you got a guy that has a hopper, is what we call, that you can tune up and was really good like Wyatt Earp right there, they're going to mark the horse still at 20, they ride at 23. Well, the guy that got on the 23 horse and had to handle all the difficulty might only get to make an 18, 19-point ride on different caliber horses, which really messes up the scoring system. The scoring system is really good and really bad for those exact reasons. It all comes down to the contractor putting a very even set of horses in to take that pressure off the judge. And an example of that would be Tilden Hooper last night. You know, in my opinion, you watch this ride, this is a really good ride by Tilden. He's exposed, he's flashy, this gets going better as it is. She slows up. But if you watch the horse on this, Tilden makes a 23, could almost 24 him right there. You're splitting hairs. This is a textbook perfect ride. But you watch that horse, the kick stops coming right there. She takes a scoot to get going, so she's not breaking right away. She's not like Wyatt Earp, who got it right out of her. She's taking half kick. Those are flatter kick. Now she starts going, and then the kick's gonna leave right in here. So as a judge that's strictly watching the horse, you know, that horse wasn't as good as Wyatt Earp, so you're only gonna 18, 19er in that instant. Tilden makes a perfect ride on that horse. He maxed that horse out for everything that he got. But with them marking that horse so low and his ride so high, he only gets an 81. That's why he did. I mean, that's a big 7-point difference to where if you're marking the ride for what it is on the horse, what it is, at a normal rodeo and a normal judging scenario, Lane more than likely still wins the round, but Tilden's going to be 85 here instead of 81.
That's really interesting the way that you put that. So those are rides that we've seen, and you can kind of break that down. But as an athlete, does that shift your mindset when you are getting ready to nod your head down there in Houston, knowing the setup of the judges and the setups of the pin so far?
No, our job is to do our job. Our job is to make them horses better than what they are supposed to be. Our job is to help them. Our job is to expose them. Our job is to be explosive on them. Our job never changes to the judging system. So it just is what it is. It's just another variable that is out of your control. It's just the setup of Houston.
So let's talk about tonight, Tim. Super Series number 3 gets underway. I mentioned you're in it. This set's loaded. There is some talent in this Super Series, starting with the #1 man in the world right now, Bradley Miller. He's over $70,000 for the year. He has been riding really, really well from the beginning of the rodeo season back on October the 1st.
Yeah, you know, Bradley just caught fire at that national finals, and he hasn't quit yet. He's had a really good Fort Worth. He had a really good San Antonio, and he keeps riding just like that. I mean, he's just on fire. I love to give him a hard time because he loves spurring over horses' necks and gets a lot of good scores for it. But at the same time, he is maxing these horses out that he gets on. He is helping them. He is fast with his feet. His style is electric, and he got into a world title race on accident last year and realized it about round 10, and he hasn't slowed down that momentum.
Well, you know who was in that world title race that actually walked away with the win was Dean Thompson. He's also in this set tonight. I mean, we can't say that he's not having a great year himself either. I mean, just look at what he's been able to do so far. But I mean, I think his back's against the wall right now. This is not an easy set for him.
It's not an easy set for any of us, but this is where the cream will rise to the top. Like, when you get into a set like this, where there's 8 guys in this set, in Super Series 3, and all 8 have the talent to advance. This is where I actually like being in these sets more than I like being in sets where I think it's kind of going to be a walkthrough, because I have to show up and be my very best every single night, or else I'm not going to make it through. If I don't step on the gas pedal every night and try to max out my riding ability, more than likely I'm not going to advance out of this Super Series. So I like it when the best guys are matched up in these sets, because it'll bring the best out in everybody.
Dean's getting on Cincy Whitney from Calgary tonight. Bradley's getting on a horse called Booger Sugar that comes from Generations. You're getting on Tootsie Roll from Calgary. I asked you a couple minutes ago, remind me of your story with Tootsie Roll, and you just kind of smiled. That's a horse you've been on a few times.
I've been on Tootsie Roll probably 5 or 6 times in my career. We've had a ton of success as it goes on, but you know, she's a T. She's getting older in her career. She's not as electric as she used to be, but she's still very good. You know, I'm absolutely ecstatic to have Tootsie Roll out here. And truthfully, for where I'm at in this comeback, this is the first major rodeo that I've been allowed to compete in since my injury. So I've only probably been on 10 horses where all these other guys have been on 20, 25, because they're able to get into Fort Worth, able to get into San Antonio. And so I'm ecstatic to have Tootsie Roll in the opening round tonight. I know her tricks, I know her traits, I know what we're going to do, and I'm going to have some fun doing it.
You know, I like the smile that you have talking about that horse and how excited you are to get into Super Series 3. It gets kicked off tonight. You guys are going to be able to see it right here on the Cowboy Channel. Tim, thank you so much for joining us again here on Western Sports Roundup, and good luck tonight.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was